Blog Talk Radio.
And welcome to another edition of Truth Talks Radio, where every voice holds value, even if there's disagreement. It's cold outside. Oh my goodness, it's cold outside. I have a number of topics tonight. I want to talk about net neutrality, immigration, the anti-immigration movement, and how I can compare it to the Holocaust. Today is the Holocaust Remembrance Day, International Holocaust Remembrance Day. I want to talk about the history of that and the history of the anti-immigration movement. And I want to throw in there the end of net neutrality, because this all matters. It does matter. So let's start off first with the International Day of Holocaust Remembrance Day. It's to commemorate the victims of the Holocaust. Now, I'm sure I'm going to butcher this, but this is what it is in Hebrew, which is Yom Let me try again. Yom HaShoah Hagvaria. No, it's not Hagvaria. It's Hagvara. There. I used to be able to read some Hebrew. I'm like, Hinima Tovu Manahim Shadakim Kamyaha. But when I read it, it's hard for me to remember how to pronounce it. Like the R has a different sound. And well, anyway. So this is the International Day of Remembrance. And translated from the Hebrew, it's the day of the Holocaust and heroism. It marks the 27th day in the month of Nisan. It's a week after the end of the Passover holiday and a week before Yom. See, I'm seeing the word and I don't know how to pronounce. Hazikaron. There, Karon. Oh. And that is the Memorial Day for Israel's fallen soldiers. This also marks the anniversary of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. This date was selected in a resolution passed by the Israel's parliament on April 12, 1951. Now, Israel was made a state in 1948, so this is one of the first items that they had to put some thought into as far as what day would be the appropriate day to remember such a, Holocaust. There's no other word. Tragedy doesn't cover it. Now, I will admit that I think that through reports that I've read in the last couple of years, that the numbers were not 6 million. It appears that the numbers were 3 million, which is still hideous. It's still hideous. It's not diminished. Not at all. As I said before, it was a date selected in a resolution passed by the Israel's parliament. Although the date was established by the Israeli government, it's been a day commemorated by Jewish communities and individuals worldwide. The day's official name, Holocaust and Heroism Remembrance Day, was made formal in a law enacted by the Israel's parliament, the Knesset, on August 19, 1953, or March 4, 1959, they passed another law which determined that tribute to victims of the Holocaust and ghetto uprisings be paid in public observances. Because like here and there in Israel, you can funnel money by donating to your own cause. Only 6% of it has to go to the actual cause. In America, it's 6%. So those 501(c)(3)s, you really need to find out how much of the money that you're donating actually goes to the cause. Just FYI. Let me see if anybody's in my studio yet. The callers. Nope. So we're going to talk, and I'm going to upload this to Spreaker.com. I'm simulcasting on Blog Talk Radio and Spreaker.com this way. So let's take a look. In the early 1950s, Israel education about the Holocaust, Shoah, the catastrophe, emphasized the suffering inflicted on millions of European Jews by the Nazis. There were Seventh-day Adventists, homosexuals, people that were not in league with the government that were also suffered from this event. The surveys that were conducted in the late 1950s indicated that young Israelis did not sympathize with the victims of the Holocaust. Now, this shocked me. Why shouldn't they sympathize with them? They believed that European Jews were led like sheep for the slaughter. Basically, they thought they were stupid. How could they not fight back? Well, it happened in increments. And one of the things that Nazi Germany did in the 30s was to limit the communication. There was a crackdown on journalism, radio, any media. All of a sudden it became under government rule, which leads me into my next point, the end of net neutrality. Now, the last 2 nights I've gone over what net neutrality is. I'll go over one of my definitions I wrote down to net neutrality. The way it works today is everyone is connected to each other through the same level playing field on the Internet. And this deals with Internet bandwidth and ISPs, Internet service providers, but like your cable company. But a handful of phone and cable companies want to change all of that because we have the same level playing field. Everybody can get on the ground floor, so to speak. You have to build up. At least, getting on the ground floor, it's even. You don't have to go through big barriers to get to it. So, and this is what the FCC encourages. They like net neutrality, except for now the head of the FCC is Tom Wheeler, and it seems like he's changing his tune. I don't know. I'm starting to think of him like Hitler. I'm not a fan. But, my opinion could change. So, why is this topic so controversial, net neutrality, that the U.S. Court of Appeals had to weigh in to change things? Because Internet service providers, ISPs, like I said before, like Verizon, AT&T, and Comcast want to charge for use of their networks. See, this is where you need to listen. This is where some of it gets restrictive, meaning that these providers will have the ability to pick and choose what consumers see online. Did you hear that? These providers will have the ability to pick and choose what you see online and then to charge content providers. On January 14, 2014, just this month, again, the U.S. Court of Appeals ruled that the FCC doesn't have the right to enforce net neutrality. This is a big blow, folks. This is a way to control what you see, how much you see, how little you see, how it's slanted. And, of course, you're going to have to pay for all this now. You didn't have to pay for this before. I mean, we paid for the ability to use the Internet. We haven't had to pay for the content. It's a new world, and it's not going to be nice. This is how I want to link it to what happened before the Holocaust, since it is the Holocaust Remembrance Day. Let's see. The appeals court stated that although the government is responsible for overseeing crucial utilities like telephone service, electricity, water, considered common carriers, the Internet isn't one of those utilities under current law. The reason why is because they use that modem. And I understood this when someone was trying to explain it to me, and I just are you an idiot? Don't you understand? I get that. Because the modem is a device, it's not considered crucial. And that's where we need to change things. We need to make the Internet crucial. We need to make net neutrality a physical law. We really need to do this. Because without that, these ISPs will be able to control your content and charge you. If you notice on one of my images there, I have what appears to be a cable bill where you have all these options to choose HBO, Stars, I don't know, the Jewish channel. They're all called premium channels, and they cost more. Next year, you're going to see this. With some people get their Internet through the cable. You're going to see Internet packages that have added applications like Skype is going to cost. YouTube is going to cost, just like HBO and Stars. Are you starting to get the picture? Not only will they be able to choose, which ones they're going to charge, how much they're going to charge. It comes down to bandwidth. but they're going to be able to say this content, not that content. They will be able to be the Nazis. And this is one way the government will be able to control the masses. This also affects education. This also affects the mom and pop stores of Main Street USA. No longer will they be able to use video marketing to promote their small store, to compete with the Walmarts, the monopolies of today. You know, it's not good enough that the monopolies, the big companies, have an edge. It's not big enough. They need a bigger edge over mom and pops. So that's what's happening. Your communication is getting halted, and you don't even know it. So that brings me to what can we do to prevent this communication holocaust? Well, what can we do? How can we get control of our country? This is one way we can get control of the country, is by being able to put the content we want to on the internet to show our country and the rest of the world. We are going to become like one of the Middle Eastern countries that are cut off from the world via internet. It's going to come down to where people decide what you will be able to see and won't be able to see. For those that do use the torrents, which I do not use, that's gone. Say bye-bye. Enjoy it while it lasts, unless you use a VPN or go through some Swedish site. I don't know. I don't know what you're going to do. Let me check my studio again. I've been going back and forth. Oh, I'm so tired, too. Whew. Excuse me. Been quite busy. And I'm drinking tons of water. All right. Now, as I said before, the Israeli Jews disdained the European Jews because they were led like sheep for slaughter. And they really were. The Israeli education curriculum began to shift the emphasis to documenting how Jews resisted their Nazi tormentors through passive resistance, retaining their human dignity in the most unbearable conditions. And they were unbearable. And by active resistance, fighting the Nazis in the ghettos and joining underground partisans who fought the Third Reich in occupied countries, like the Warsaw Ghetto. That was a big uprising. That was a brave undertaking. I mean, just sheer bravery. Now, since the 1960s, the sound of a siren on a stops traffic and pedestrians through the state of Israel for 2 minutes of silent devotion. That's like I forget the word, but I'll think of it in a minute. The siren blows at sundown, and once again at 11 a.m. on this date. All radio and television programs during this day are connected in one way or another with the Jewish destiny in World War II, including personal interviews with survivors. Even the musical programs are adapted to the atmosphere of Yom HaShoah. There is no public entertainment on this day, as theaters, cinemas, pubs, and other public venues are closed throughout Israel. I think that is remarkable. I think we should do that on July 4th, that we close a lot of things in remembrance for the bravery of our people. I don't know. Now, many ultra-Orthodox rabbis do not endorse this Memorial Day, though most of them have not formally rejected it either, as that would be bad form. So, I don't know. I wonder what you think. Do you think there is a correlation between what happened before the Holocaust, the restriction of communication, and what's currently going on in America? I mean, I've just been watching this documentary. It's a Frontline documentary. It's called Independent Lens, and it's the one where it says Arizona struggles with illegal immigration. And I was watching some of the signs saying illegal immigrants kill officers. And I kept on thinking, in the 1930s, they were saying Jews kill the police or Gestapo. The big, bad Jewish person with the long, snaggly nose and the evil, slanted eyes. And the Jew was always portrayed as dirty and lazy. And it sounds a lot like America, doesn't it? Where the illegal immigrant who is adding to our community, not taking from it, that's the distortion.